Well, first I heard of everything happening through a collective that's in the Vigils. They actually do visits to Palestine, especially the West Bank in Palestine, and they do it basically on an annual basis, where they would visit villages that are in like danger of displacement. They would visit refugee camps and cities, and through visiting, covering one of the villages that was getting a lot of settler attacks, which is the Israeli colonial settlers attacking Palestinian villages. While I was covering that, they were also visiting to find ways to help out, to learn more on what they can do best. And that's when I met the collective. I also met them later on, and I kept on meeting them every year, which is a coincidence. But I kept on meeting them every year after that. And then they were interested in hearing more and more Palestinian voices, which is lacking in this world. And they basically invited me here to Porto in order to do that. And one of the things I wanted and was interested in participating in is the Vigils. I always say that I'm a Palestinian Christian journalist, which is three things that make up who Hala is. And yeah, yesterday we had a talk. It talked about who are Palestinians, who are Palestinian Christians, which is something that people don't really know exists, and who we are as journalists in Palestine, journalists who are loyal and faithful to justice and to telling the truth, and we're being persecuted for telling the truth. So we just talked about that. We talked about stories, I covered, and the experiences of being Palestinian. It's a very big decision to be a journalist in the West Bank and Palestine in general. I would say even it's even a bigger decision in Gaza, because it even gets more dangerous. Well, to me it was an easy but also tough decision at the same time. It's easy because it came easy to me. I basically realized that I'm being a journalist without actually defining myself as a journalist. But it's also tough because we know that if you're a journalist, every time there's a military raid to your city or to even any other city, your family is going to be worried. If you're a journalist, every time you pass a checkpoint, which is a lot, there's way too many. One is too many, but there's way too many. You're going to have to check your SIM cards, check everything, make sure you have a clear record, make sure they don't realize that you're a journalist. If they see a camera on you, you have to say yeah, I work in marketing or something. And the constant stories that keep coming up, and that you would notice more as a journalist because you work on them, you go deep into them. But it's what being Palestinian is we're just a bunch of stories with blood and flesh that are moving around, and everyone in Palestine are either they have a story either with living under apartheid, borders moving around, or being detained, tortured, losing someone, fear of losing your own life, or being injured, being orphaned, especially in the current phase of the genocide in Gaza. I can't even imagine that there is one Palestinian, either they're a refugee, a Bedouin, a villager, someone in the diaspora in Gaza or anywhere, without their own story with being colonized. I genuinely do believe that through the international movement and through the peoples of the earth, the wretched of the earth basically, and not even them, just every conscious mind and every free will, is this the way that will free Palestine. The Vigils specifically, I actually learned about them right before I came here, and learned about the details of what a vigil is as soon as I got into one. And I found that I was expecting a protest. I was expecting, this is a protest too, but I was expecting many different things that I am familiar with, but I'm not familiar with. And I learned that if you just go somewhere in the world, sit, show your solidarity to Palestine, one day after the other, you'll build a community. And this is what they did. Most of these people just met each other in vigils, and they've built a beautiful community. They built a knowledgeable community, and together they saw the importance of Palestinian voices. Together they saw the importance of witnessing what's going on. They saw the importance of boycotting, of taking action. So the vigil is not just a space to showcase to the world, and maybe especially in tourist cities, tourists and the locals and everyone, a constant reminder of Palestine, a constant reminder of that the world is not okay, that we're not living in a just world. But it's also a way to build the movement on a daily basis, basically. It's a literal step-by-step building of a movement. And in here I saw that in every city they do vigils, and some are weekly, some are daily. But in every time I see a vigil, I see that they know that if they stay quiet, and if literally everyone stays quiet, today it's Palestine, tomorrow it's them, and they know it as a fact. Tomorrow would be the whole world facing oppression if they don't fight now.